Good afternoon. Welcome to What I Know Now. I've got Pat Divilly and we're in his lovely house today. Pat was very gracious. He actually went and collected me from the train station and he drove me over here as well. And he's been spending some time with myself today. So I'm delighted to share his story with yourself. For those who don't know Pat, well, he is a very, very famous fitness expert, author and very successful entrepreneur. So for the next half an hour or so, we're going to be speaking about leadership, mindset, becoming the best possible version of yourself, and also just some kind of home truths from that Pat wants to share from his life as well. We'll ultimately talk about what he knows now that he wished he knew back then. Could you give me a bit of an overview about your journey to now, really?
Yeah, really fast track, I suppose, of the last couple of years. I grew up with a passion for health and wellness, and that was all I ever wanted to pursue from 12 or 13. So bullied a little bit as a kid, started lifting weights and doing martial arts, first thing that gave me confidence. And that was all I ever wanted to do. So decided at 12, I'm going to own my own gym. The story I told myself, and we all tell ourselves stories again and again and again throughout school, was I'm not academic, I'm not smart, I'm not clever, I'm not able to study, and it was just limiting stories that I was repeating to myself for 6 years of secondary school. So ultimately, when it came time to deciding what I was going to do in college, sports science required a lot of points, physiotherapy required a lot of points, and everyone around me thought that's what he's going to do because that's what he loves. He lives in the gym, he reads books about this stuff. I didn't think I was capable of that. So I fell into doing an arts degree, which is nothing wrong with an arts degree, but I had no interest. I just felt it was something I could manage. It was in Galway, it was easy, it was a couple hours a week, I could DOS and everything else. So probably lost my way a little bit there. Every summer I would go to the States, and the one thing that kept me sane was I trained mixed martial arts, or cage fighting. This is going back 10 years. So trained 3 times a day out in San Diego, slept on the gym floor, cleaned the gym 3 times a day. That was my life. I had no money, but I just loved it. And again, it was reigniting this passion for health and wellness. So when I came home, I said, look, I'm going to pursue this. I started getting qualified as a personal trainer on the side whilst doing my degree. I got a master's in nutrition ultimately, which was a big thing for a guy that said he wasn't academic. It was kind of it was teaching me that the stories that I tell myself are generally not true. They're holding me back. So it gave me confidence. I came out of college at the worst of the recession. Worked in a few commercial gyms, and I'm a blunt guy, so the thought of having to lie to people and do things a way that I didn't see fit didn't work. So worked in a few gyms, got let go from a few gyms for telling some home truths about, I was telling people you need to look at nutrition, you need to do X, Y and Z, and I had gym owners pulling me in and saying if you tell people this, they're not going to come back because they're going to lose the weight. And it was just crazy to me. So went out on my own up in Dublin, set up a fitness business which failed, and ultimately my story, which I've told many times, I ended up coming home Christmas Eve 2011 with my tail between my legs. So I had gone to Dublin, going to be a big success, and I painted an illusion on social media that things were going really well. I was training models. That's what my friends would see back home, but I wasn't charging the models. I was just trying to get some profile. So the reality of the situation was I was working full-time in a clothes shop in the ILAC Centre. I was living down East Wall Road, and things were not going well for me, but you can paint an illusion.
Yeah, and people were thinking that you weren't coming back home because you were so busy.
Yeah, he's so busy, he's partying with models, he's making loads of all this kind of thing.
Has he got time to come back to us?
Yeah, and there was no truth to it. I remember Christmas was coming, my best friend's mum was in Dublin doing the Christmas shopping, and she came into the clothes shop where I was working, and her jaw hit the floor when she saw me because she thought
it's bad luck.
And I was thinking, please don't tell my buddy that I'm here. Ultimately came home Christmas Eve, and it was a very hard thing for a young guy that was ambitious and hungry and a dream chaser, and I've always been someone that says you live your dreams, and here I was like you can talk a big game, but like when you come back and you have to borrow money to get the bus home from your dad at 24, and you have to move back in with your parents, and you have to give up on the dream, you kind of have to stop talking at that point because you can say believe in yourself and all this kind of stuff, but it's hard to believe in yourself when everything's gone wrong. So I fell into a depression, I would say, for 6-7 months of just feeling like an absolute failure, having no money, having no hope, which is a lot worse than having no money. Having no money is one thing, but having no hope or belief in yourself is really where things get hard.
At that moment in time, and again, from listening to you say it and now spending some time with you, I get why you felt like that at the time, right? But for another person looking at it, you were 24. Majority of 24-year-olds, they're still figuring stuff out. They'd be happy to have a job, folding jeans and a badge of honour if they got booted out of a few places of work. And getting the bus down, they'd probably be trying to sneak on anyway. It wouldn't be as big a deal. What made you take it so seriously?
Yeah, a lot of people have said that to me, and they kind of they'll say, oh, you know, everyone's got a sob story and everyone's been at that point at 24 and it's not a big deal and stuff. But to me, it was just, I think I had been so defiant that I was going to be somebody in the fitness industry. And at the time, this is going back 8-9 years, probably a bit less, but fitness wasn't what it is now. And there was no one really making a big living from fitness. So I had all the heavy influences in my life, like my parents, you know, the people closest to me saying, Pat, it's nice that you've an interest in fitness, but realistically, that's not going to work. And I was going the opposite way, saying, well, I'm going to Dublin, I'm going to be something special, I'm going to make this work, I'm going to be the first guy to do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to be the first guy to be the fitness guy. So being that adamant that I was going to be something special, and I wanted that approval at the time. I was a young guy that wanted people to tell him he was good enough, and I recognise that now. You know, I didn't believe in myself fully, and I think I had this voice in my head saying, well, maybe if other people believe in you, then you'll think you're something special. So I definitely sought validation at that time, and I recognise that now. So I suppose to be the guy that was talking about live your dreams, to be the guy that was going after it, it was a hard slap in the face of reality. To realise that it's not as easy as you think it is. And I looking back, I felt entitled as well. I thought, I've got a master's, I should walk into a job. And
did you feel you were kind of owed something?
Yeah, I did, and I recognise now that back then I wanted the result before I did the work. So I was more concerned with being the celebrity trainer than I was, what if I got great results for my clients, and then you're going to become like, what if I did the work that is required to get where I want to be? I started my fitness classes locally, 5 people the first morning, and my ethos was be the best part of these people's day, and it starts to grow really quick. So I've got 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, starts growing.
Were you happy when you saw those 5? Did you want the 100? Did the 200?
Yeah, 5 was amazing, because what I've realised is when I was in Dublin, I was looking for the 100 clients, and I didn't recognise that to get the 100 clients, you have to get your first client. And that might sound silly, but a lot of us get caught in that, like, I want this end result. To get the end result, it's like trying to jump from A to Z. You can't jump from A to Z. You need to get to B first, and then to C, and then to D. And you need to, like if I start going from A to B to C, once I've gone to B, I've got a reference point, but I've already made this step, so now I can make the next step. Whereas if you try to go from A to Z, you fail, and then you've got a reference point that you never succeed, and your story becomes I never succeed. So I start getting all these clients. I've got like 200, 300, 400, 500 clients in a year, and a lot of people would hear the name Pat Divilly Fitness, and they'd meet me in person. They'd be like, you're really quiet, I thought you'd be like Mr. Motivator. I thought I've become more extrovert maybe in recent years, but I was just a quiet guy that really enjoyed it. But we can all inspire in our own way. So I'd have 20 clients on the beach. I would go around and have a quiet word with each client at the end of the class, say, you do really well on push-ups today, great job. And it wasn't like Mr. Motivator going crazy, all this kind of stuff, but we can all inspire.
One thing that I found particularly interesting when you're telling your story is what you gave that person was that little prep talk, that little coaching moment, that little you can do it, that so many people won't get it, but you personalised. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, what I see in life is that we all want a permission slip. We all want someone to tell us that it's okay to go after what we want. That's all that we need, because again, every client that ever came to me knew what they should be eating to a certain degree. They knew that they should be training to a certain degree, but they lacked a bit of belief. And all they needed was to stand in front of me, and I was the guy that would say, sir, you should think about doing a 5K. Really? Me? Yeah, of course, why not you?
You can do it.
You can do it. So it's belief and belonging, the two things I always talk about. Belief is we don't believe in ourselves. We've got a lack of confidence because we look on social media, we see everyone else's perfect life, and we think, I can never be like that. And we've got this story, I can never be like that. So you're never going to be something that your story is in conflict with. Most people's stories run their life. So my story was, I'm not academic, I'm not clever, I'm not smart. I had a handful of teachers that made me think differently, and that led me to doing my masters and stuff like that. And equally, I've got clients that will come to me and their story is, I'm not a runner, I've got bad genetics, I'm never going to be as attractive as my, you know, whatever it is. I just need to reframe that story. I just need to show them a possibility. That's my job as a coach, a mentor, a friend, whatever it is.
So reframing that story to tell a different story.
Yeah, I mean, everything that I've got in my life now is a result of the stories that I have in my life right now. And if I want something new, my actions need to change, the things I do day to day, but also my beliefs need to change. And most people are focused on the actions. So if I think back to the personal training days, when I was in Dublin, my thing was, I want to learn 100 different push-up variations. That's what's going to make me a great coach. But how good is it having 100 variations if you've got a lady coming in that can't do any push-ups and you don't know how to inspire her, you just know how to show her 100 variations?
Yeah.
She doesn't care about your 100 variations.
You're not winning her heart and mind.
You just want to show, like, you can do this. You want to change her mindset, not her, skill set. So I became aware of this. I think it was going through my own rough patch. I saw that fitness is not just about push-up and broccoli. Fitness is an opportunity. You stand in front of me and I'll make you think you can do anything. And anyone I meet, that's my, meeting you today, that will be my hope, that you would leave and think, wow, there's possibilities there I didn't even consider.
When you look at your clients, how important is mindset? Because they say that 80% of people that are even starting new businesses or even going on a new venture are just going to fail within kind of a short period of time. And you're working now with kind of successful people or classes of successful people. Do you see kind of a sort of characteristic between them about why they're successful and why others aren't?
Yeah, it's a combination of different things. One thing in terms of the mindset, that the lotto analogy is probably a good thing to look at with that, is that if I work a job that makes me 20,000 a year and I win the lotto tomorrow, you give me 5 million, most of those people lose the money within a year.
Yeah.
And they feel worse for it because their base level is, I'm worth 20,000 a year, that's all I'm worth, maybe 25. You give me 2 million, my underlying story is, I'm not worth that money. I've got one client, she won the lotto, she's put the money into a locked away account she can't touch. She's working on her mindset so that when she does come and touch the money, she's a bit more secure.
How strategic is that one?
I know, it's brilliant. And then in contrast, you've got the multi-billionaires or millionaires that lose everything they have, go bankrupt, and a year later they've made it all back.
Yeah, we were speaking about some of them today.
So their base level is, I'm worthy of this money. So we've all got a base level as to what we think we're worthy of. We've all got stories, beliefs, all this kind of stuff. So the mindset, that's where that is. You've got mindsets and skill sets. You need to change both in order to make sustainable change. So the person that goes on the yo-yo diet, they take the action every day for a month or so, but the underlying belief, the underlying story, if you think of the iceberg,
yeah,
the magic is in the bit under the water.
Yeah,
that's the story. So the actions, short term, are never going to stick unless the story changes long term.
Yeah, because we were sharing earlier on an example of where you can do subconsciously, it's not committing that extra 5%, but that 5% is actually stopping you from getting the results that you want to get.
Yeah,
and you fool yourself into thinking, this is right, I'm doing this correctly,
yeah,
I just don't know what's wrong.
I would challenge people on that, and I challenged myself on that okay, I will say, an example to be transparent at the moment, I signed up to a triathlon, so a half Ironman. Never really swam much before, I've never really been on the bike much before, I'm not a big fan of running, but the idea was hire a coach, take all the onus off of me setting my own plans, get her to plan the sessions for me, do what she's telling me. I haven't gone all in, I haven't done 100% what she's told me, so I can't expect the result.
Yeah.
I can have stories about, well, I did most of the sessions and I only changed one bit or the other. If you don't go 100% in, you can't expect 100% the result.
So you're already preparing your excuses already in advance.
This is why things like food diaries will work well for clients. Looking at your bank balance is a good way of figuring out what your current work situation is, because I recognize you can have all the stories in the world. I'll use alcohol as an example. I quit alcohol 5 months ago and just said I'm not going to drink
cold
anymore.
turkey?
Yeah, because I had a lot of stories about alcohol, that I'm fun when I drink, that I'm not a bad drunk because I never get in fights and I'm just fun, that everyone drinks and I don't drink anymore, I only go out once a week, maybe once a fortnight. I had all these stories, but then the facts were I feel physically sick the next day and I get anxiety for a couple of days after.
Yeah,
so that's the fact. So I can live in the stories and they'll keep me stuck for the rest of my life, or I can own up to the facts. And the same thing about money. So your body, you can say, oh well, I've got bad genetics and da da da. That's just a story. The fact is you're 20 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
You can say, oh well, business is hard and there's a recession, everything else. That's a story. The facts are you got no money in the bank. So I've got to be real.
I agree to that. But when I was recruiting day to day, the recession was the best thing that could ever possibly happen for me, because there was less competition. I worked super hard, and so many other people's mindset was, it's so bad, it's so bad.
Yeah.
I just cleaned up because I just have the opinion was, people need people.
Yeah.
They always want to have great people. I'm going to find out who all the great people are, develop relationships with them, and guess what? The world kept going, and business was very, very difficult, but the mindset really helped me to be successful in that moment.
And then when you come out the other side, it's like shooting fish in a barrel once you've weathered that kind of storm.
Because then you're thinking, wow, that was the worst that can possibly happen.
Yeah.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
And then you become better for it. Like those people that made 100 million, lost 100 million, but they worked the muscle to know how to actually get up to that point. Like Keith Cunningham made 100 million. 18 months later, he was back on that horse because he knew the formula.
One of the things we talk about, like successful people and why are they successful, something I see, and I use the mountain analogy, that if you're going to climb Mount Everest, there's two ways you can climb it. You can say, well, I want to get to the top and that's all I care about, which was me in Dublin. I want to get to the top, I want to be successful. Or you can, so you put your head down and you just put your head down and you slog away and you just want to get to the top. That's all you care about. And then you got a fleeting moment on the top where you're like, oh, that was cool, and you don't care. And you've learned nothing.
Yeah.
Or you can climb Mount Everest and say, I'm going to speak to everyone I meet along the way and learn from them. I'm going to take in all the views along the way. I'm going to smile as much as I can. I'm going to learn I'm going to enjoy the agony, and when I get to the top, I'm going to feel 100% accomplished. I'm going to have learned so many lessons. Same with your goal. So your goal can be, I'm going to do a 12-week training plan or a career plan or relationship, whatever. I'm going to do a 12-week plan, and it's going to be miserable. I'm just going to go through the motions and I'm going to get this result and suddenly feel happy and confident. Not how life works, because it's all, who are you becoming on the journey? How do you make the journey a bit more enjoyable? How do you stay consistent?
Have you got a morning ritual that you kind of live by?
I've not got something specific anymore. I've been like more stringent with this in the past, where I've said, right, I'm going to try to, and I've tried to probably overwhelm myself at times. I know I think you're better at this than I am, definitely. You know, I've got great intentions sometimes, and I'm going to read for an hour, and I'm going to do this for an hour, I'm going to do this for an hour, and then I'm going to tackle the day. And it happens for a few days, but it doesn't happen consistently for me. My biggest thing is I want to take control of the morning in whatever way that is to me before external comes in. So most people wake up in the morning and they're checking the phone before they even leave the bed. So it's external stuff coming into your head, telling you how you should think, feel, act, show up in the world. Then they get in the car, turn on the radio, no control about what they're talking about.
Pulled in every direction.
Telling you how to think, how to act, how to feel, how to see the world, how to see yourself. So for me, it's like I'll either read or journal or train or do different things that will help me control my own identity and who I am.
We got some background noise there. I'm not sure if you can hear it. It's like a lorry reverse back in. I find that because I've got 2 young kids, I need to control my morning. So I get up in the morning and I try to own it, because I know once they wake up, it's just like, right,
chaos.
Yeah, you just don't know which way it's gonna go. And I like to have this one thing that I want to try to achieve before I get swamped in all these different ideas. And that's one thing I've noticed from books I read or other successful people I'm meeting. They have that morning routine or ritual, and you obviously you would have seen it from all the seminars that you would have went to and the people you would have got to, but you just feel like that once you control your morning, it doesn't matter what you kind of do with it.
Yeah, I think something people need to be conscientious of, and I've definitely learned to be more aware of this myself, is that oftentimes it's all well and good reading a book and it telling you to do X, Y, and Z, and you trying to do that and it not working. And every time we do something that doesn't work, it reaffirms the story that I'm not able to do this kind of thing. So it's important that you set yourself up to win, whatever that means to you. So for me, like, kind of got 4 areas. So you got your health, you got your relationships, you've got your business or your work, and you've got your sense of self, your self-awareness. So I've got like non-negotiables in those things each day. So with my health, I need to train every day, and I need to hit 2 liters of water. That's my base level. Do some form of training and drink 2 liters of water. If that happens, it was a good day. That means I can stray from a diet or whatever else. Now, if my non-negotiable was I have to eat perfect 100% of the time, all the time, how can I ever win? Because I'm always gonna.
It's funny. I liked you more when I had that monster can in your hand than I did before, because I'm coming out of the train. I've got all my notes and I'm writing all my stuff down in my books. I want to get it right, but then I asked you to want a coffee, you're like, I don't want a coffee. You're like, okay, just drink coffee. So we're going to be talking about weights in the car. We're drinking the monster drink, and it's definitely not the sugar in that, right? It's definitely not a good one. I didn't look at the can, but I know it is. But it is more real, right? So you can relate to that.
Yeah,
more.
it's got to be. The part of it is that question: how can I set myself up to win? Because people set their expectations so high for themselves that you're just giving yourself more and more reference points as to times you haven't succeeded. So you need to lower the bar. So, like I say, I'll train every day. Doesn't need to be the best session in the world. Doesn't need to be better than yesterday. Just needs to happen.
Yeah.
Set the barrier low. Second one, relationships. Send a couple of texts in the morning to people that matter before I start my day, telling them I care about them, I appreciate them, thanks for being you. That's like, it's easy. Like, I don't need to have perfect relationships. I just need to invest in the ones that I have consistently. Business, what's my one outcome? What's the one thing I want to achieve today? It's not 100 things that are going to get half done. It's one thing that's going to get done and signed off on. And then sense itself. How do I take time for myself? Is it journaling? Is it going for a walk without any music or distraction? Is it meditation? Is it jiu-jitsu? Just do one thing.
Right, okay. So that's a lot easier to live. And is that what you're telling the people that you're coaching? Yeah,
because what I see happen is, like, we try to change everything overnight and we crash the car. So you got two cars going parallel to one another. If one makes a subtle shift to the right or the left, they're going to end up in very different locations over time. It doesn't seem like much. So you drink 2 litres of water a day if you're not currently drinking water. It doesn't seem like much in a day or a week, but a month and a year, suddenly people say, wow, your skin looks different. That's how change happens. Then you've got evidence that you can change, and you have changed, and you've got evidence because you've stayed consistent with something, number one, but you've never stayed consistent with a diet before because it's too much. And two, you've got external validation and approval because people are saying, and that's powerful, you know, as much as
confidence.
As much as you don't want to place all your thing on Facebook likes and people, you know, there is a certain level of when someone tells you you're doing well with something, you want to continue because it reaffirms that you're doing the work. So I like that element. And again, if people focused on one healthy habit a week, if people focused on one big outcome from the business a week, it's 52 in a year. It's not sexy, it's not attractive, it's not a 2-week plan, but it's how change happens.
You mentioned about giving yourself permission or allowing yourself permission to achieve what you want to achieve. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a realization again, I suppose, that I spent so much of my time putting people on pedestals and sort of having this illusion that, like, other people deserve things and I don't deserve them, or other people were born to do things and I wasn't. It's funny because I did a bit of stuff on TV the last couple of years, and people will come to me and say, oh, I've got an interview on TV tomorrow, have you any tips? I'm thinking, be coming to me for tips. Like, I don't have a clue what I'm doing on the TV. I'm just going and doing an interview. Like, I see other people and I see them as naturals. And we've got a tendency to do that. We think other people can do things we can't. So you could spend your whole life having everyone else on a pedestal and saying, someday I'll do that and someday I'll do this. But ultimately there comes a time where you have to give yourself permission to have everything that you want. If you want to have a healthy body, run marathons, do the Marathon des Sables, do adventure races. If you want to be a millionaire, if you want to put yourself out there, give yourself permission, because no one's coming to save you. Ironically, probably the closest people in your life will hold you back to a certain degree, because they see you for who you are, they love you for who you are, and they're scared of you being anything other than who you are. So you need to take ownership yourself. Like, no one, that's one thing I recognize, and it's one of the reasons I was able to fast track in the fitness world, was I would go to a seminar with the best nutritionists in the world. I'd take notes like a crazy man. I'd come home, I'd apply this stuff, and I'd do videos sharing the ideas. And people say, who are you to share those ideas? I said, well, I went to a seminar, I paid a lot of money to be there, I put the stuff into practice, I applied it. Why wouldn't I share the ideas?
Yeah, of course.
They're like, oh, there's such and such ideas. No, they're not. They're principles of science. They've been there forever. Stop thinking that you need to. I think I've thought that for a long time. When I reach a certain level, then I'll share who I am and what I am and share ideas. But you'll never get to the level unless you take the action.
Because it comes back to the confidence versus, oh, once I get to this level, people who are going to get out about me or slate me or disagree with me, they're going to stop because they know I'm in this bubble of I'm at a level now. So
the interesting thing with confidence is people think that when I get confident, I'll take the action. So when I am happy, I'll take the action. Actions come before feelings. People think that feelings come before actions.
Yeah. Favorite quote, David Schwartz, action cures fear.
Yeah.
Love it. I just love that quote. And it's like you today. I want to publish my book. There's any publishers out there want to get involved?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll hook you up. And you're like, okay, I've got to change a few pages, and I better write my book. And then you just got it out there. Obviously, you're chancing your arm, but you're just going with it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you could spend your whole life. I use the diving board I like analogies. I use the diving board analogy. If you stand on a diving board and you don't jump, you'll spend 20 minutes there talking yourself out of it. But 20 minutes in, you'll have 100 stories about what's going to go wrong if you jump. Those 100 stories will keep you there for another 20 minutes, another 20 minutes. Think about life. If you're in a job that you hate, your heart is telling you. I like this thing about the heart tells you something, but your head talks you out of it. So we talk about mindset. Mindset's important, but so is like soul set or heart set, whatever you want to call it. I knew at certain points in my life that something needed to change. So I would say, okay, I had my gym. I was known for being the gym owner, and that was going really well, making good money, having a good impact on the community. I didn't love it anymore. My heart told me you need to do something new. My head told me people locally are going to think you're getting big for your boots, you're going to lose money, you're going to lose your profile, you're going into personal development, there's no room for a personal development person in Ireland. All these stories in my head about why I shouldn't do it, but my heart was telling me. Definitely. And most people will let their head overrule their heart, because it's scary, because leading with your heart means you have to step into something you don't know. You're stepping into the dark.
And it's a lot easier just to look at someone else's life and judge and be like kind of a voyeur, rather than actually in your own life to go, I'm going to recreate myself, reinvent myself to do something different.
Yeah, I mean, I see it with, like, obviously coming from the fitness industry, you see it with food a lot, that people, rather than listen to their heart or their feelings, and again, I'm going off on a tangent here, hopefully it's relevant. I see that when we're younger, we're kind of led to believe certain feelings are good feelings. It's good to be happy, it's good to be enthusiastic, it's good to be, certain feelings are bad feelings, okay? So as a lad, you're told, don't talk about your feelings, that's gay, da, 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 da. You're told all these things. So you put those feelings into a box and you say, push that to the side, Pandora's box, let's not go near that again.
Yeah.
So we only want to feel certain feelings. So then when people get older, say they end up in a job that they hate, feelings start to come up from that box that we've pushed to the side. The feeling is saying, this is not cool, you don't like your job, you hate your life, da 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 da. People don't know how to deal with those feelings. People don't want to deal with those feelings. So alcohol, drugs, porn, distraction, social media, unloading their problems onto someone else, which is another means of dealing with things. If I unload this onto my friends, they'll tell me everything's okay and I'll feel great. But your heart still knows you're not doing the right thing. So I think that's probably an off topic, but I think that feelings are there for a reason. I see feelings as a feedback mechanism. People say, oh Pat, you're so positive all the time. I'm not. I get like angry, I get frustrated, and I used to think that anger and frustration and shame and guilt and all these feelings were to be suppressed and don't feel them because they're only going to bring up negative stuff for you. Now I realise they're coming up for a reason. Let's deal with these.
Just deal with them, get on with them.
Yeah.
You speak about whoever adds the most value wins, and just get out there and add value and just don't worry about anything else. And I'm kind of answering your question now. What advice would you give to business owners or people that want to be successful?
In terms of adding value, you're looking at what's my market. Okay, so who's in my market? So I'll give you the weight loss example is simple. So I came into the fitness industry. When I was in Dublin, I was training models, talking about sit-ups and broccoli, counting reps in a gym. That's all I did. I was offering very little value. I was holding hands with one client one-to-one for an hour in the week. That was all I was doing. When I came back to Galway, the question became, okay, who is the main market here? People that are 25 to 45, 2 stone overweight, don't have the confidence to go to a commercial gym and know what they're doing, but want to do something about their weight. Yeah. What's their problem? They're ill-informed on nutrition and training, they don't have confidence, they've got bingo wings, they've got belly fat, they've got poor sleep, they don't want to quit carbs, they don't want to quit alcohol. Okay, that's the problems. What's the solution? That's what I'm going to add value with. So there's different ways of doing this, but a lead magnet is the idea that you put something out for free. So back then when I was down on the beach, I put out a free liver detox, it was called. It was basic stuff. It was drink more water, eat more greens, eat more protein, intermittent fasting, just some basic principles. Free download on my Facebook page. I think you got 9,000 downloads while I was working in the pizza place. That was one of the things that kicked things off for me initially. It was lead with value. Yeah. So I'm no longer a guy hidden away in a gym forcing you to pay me 50 quid to get information. And what I recognized was if you open up the local paper, it's going to have 10 different ads for different gyms, and the gyms are going to say, we've got a sauna, we've got the best of equipment, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. No value added there. We want your money. What if the ad in the paper said, go to patdivilly.com, get a 40-page cookbook with healthy recipes for free. Okay, it's going to attract a lot of people. They're going to say, this guy knows what he's doing. This guy cares about me to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I don't need a personal trainer right now, but when I do, I know where I'm going to go. And it's playing the long game a little bit. So that was part of it. And then literally, I just survey my clients going forward. I'm like, what's your 3 biggest struggles right now? I'm struggling with sleep. I'm struggling with low carb, and I'm struggling with recipe ideas that'll suit the whole family. Okay, that's my next 3 blog posts. How to get better sleep, how to feed the whole family on a budget, and
Find out what they want, go get it, give it to them.
Yeah, find the problem, give a solution. Because you think about it, like the local coffee shop here is solving a problem, and the problem is that local people want coffee. Starbucks is also solving a problem, that the world wants coffee. So it comes down to how big a problem do you want to solve. The bigger the problem you solve, or the more people you help, the more money you'll make.
Simplified a very, very complicated problem there. Like, so if you only had 5 minutes with your younger self, what would you say?
I'd say you're enough. You're good enough as you are.
We got caught with we got caught with
the gardeners here. I would say you're good enough as you are. Stop wearing masks and stop trying to be someone else to fit in. Your need to fit in is the very thing that's holding you back from being everything you want to be. Because I wanted to be successful, I wanted to be known, I wanted to be someone that could add value, I wanted to be someone that could live his dreams, I wanted to be someone that went after everything he wanted, I wanted to be someone that did public speaking, that was confident. I wore all the masks that stopped me from being confident, stopped me putting myself out there, stopped me living my dream. And it was all because I was afraid that I wasn't good enough. It was like, maybe if I do all these things, then people will accept me. And then you're in a game where you're trying to chase things for the rest of your life, and nothing's ever going to be enough, because you can make money, you can do all that thing. Making money is never going to make you feel accept yourself. Everyone in a room, and I've had this in the past, everyone in the room says, oh, you're brilliant, you're doing amazing, you're this, that and the other. If you don't believe it yourself, it means nothing. It's relevant. So my thing to my younger self will be, I always think again at the 10-year-old self that I was saying about earlier, I think of protecting that kid. If your kids are 9 or 10 and they've got self-doubts, you're going to look at them and you're going to say, you can do this is not a big deal, you need to turn off the voice in your head saying you can't. And I just think of myself as being, having that 10-year-old self within me. Every time I get scared, and I'm like, I've got a choice here. Am I going to be the kid that's scared? And I look back to my youth and I say, I was scared too much, I was too shy, because I was afraid. So yeah, 18-year-old me, I would just say, look, Pat, go and be yourself. There's enough people wearing masks in this world, and when you go out and you shine, it's the biggest thing I've learned. When I go and I do a public speaking gig, people might say Pat's the best public speaker in the world. They mightn't say a lot of things, but what they do tend to say is, he's real, he's honest, he's authentic. It's refreshing to see someone who's not bullshitting.
This is how it is.
And that's kind of how anyone I admire in life, that's who they are. And probably tell my 18-year-old self, look at the people you admire, look at the traits that they have. They're ambitious, they're kind, they're humble, they're authentic. You be those same things. Stop trying to be somebody else, just be you.
People see through it anyway.
Yeah, it's the most cliche thing in the world to say be you, but it's the most needed thing.
Think about cliches are.
Yeah, there's a reason, yeah.
Big time. Notice that.
I just give myself permission, yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
That's a very strong handshake. Strongest handshake I've ever come across. That's too good. Well done. Thank you very much. See you then. Bye.